Hawaii Blues fan, we're bleeding blue with you. Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues!
Presented by Scott Credit Union. Yours.
BlueNote Fan Report is coming to you live from Hawaii. We're talking about some hockey. Aloha and mahalo. I am Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, and this is the show that is by a fan for the fans, and you got to know all about you, the fans. Yes, that's it. That's it. It's a hockey day. It's a hockey Tuesday. Are you ready to talk some hockey? Say hello. Who is here today? I know John Hefner's here because he put them big old thumbs in the air. Thank you. Thank you, John. Ooh, my GERD is acting up today. Didn't expect that. How are all of you doing out there in social media land? What is up? What is up? What is up? Talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me. What are you doing today? What is on your mind? Come on! Don't let me sit here talking all by myself. Right? Did you get paid? Because Tage Thompson sure got paid. Absolutely, that's right. Did Tage Thompson get paid? And I got to tell you, Buffalo, wow. I mean, Buffalo, come on. You've got to figure this out. $7.1 million for a guy that has, and this number blew my mind, he has 103 points in 223 games. He got more than 60% of his points, almost 70% of his points last season. One season. Okay? He's going to be making $1 million less than Robert Thomas, who had that many points in the last 2 seasons. Right? Paige Thompson has been in the league since 2017. He has a total of 223 games. He has 56 goals, 47 points, or 47 assists for 103 points. He's negative 57. Wow. And you're going to pay him $7.1 million after next year. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. How do you pay a guy that only has 103 points in the NHL? And it's not like he had it in 1 year. That's over 4 seasons, 223 games, less than half a point per game. $7.1 million. Lance, I'm sorry, man. It boggles my mind why they did this extension now. Makes no sense.
The only thing I can think is there's been rumblings with his agent. His agent went to him and said, if he, keeps doing this over the next year, we're going to test, we're going to want a big amount of money, so on and so forth. But they were under no pressure to do this. I mean, I don't know why they did it. If they were going to do it, maybe extend the guy $4 to $5 million for 2 more years longer. But $7.1 million for a guy that hasn't proven anything is a lot of money, a lot of money. And not only does it, in my mind, hurt the Sabres from building a team, it also hurts the rest of the NHL, because now you're going to have these guys that have had 12 points in 3 seasons, and all of a sudden in their 4th season, they get 80 points and they're due in a year or two. Or are they going to want $9 million because of 1 good year? And another thing is this.
Well, thing is, what if last year was an anomaly because
That's
everybody's points jumped up last year?
That's right.
right? Everybody's points jumped up last year, and there's chances that a lot of guys are an anomaly. Like, I'll tell you one right off the get-go is Kadri. Kadri was an anomaly. Now, I won't say that Tarasenko was an anomaly because he's done that type of stuff in his career. He hadn't had that many points, but he's done it before.
Yeah.
Thomas wasn't an anomaly. Buchnevich was an anomaly. There were a lot of guys. You go look at those guys that scored, in the top 50, and I bet you most of them, you're going to go, that's an anomaly. That doesn't make sense. There's guys that are in that top 50 that have never been there before. Right? And that's the thing with me is I see all of this negativity, all this. Guys are getting paid. Now, I'll tell you what, for every single one of you guys out there that complained, bitched, and griped about Thomas's 8.1, Thomas, I got to look this up. Got to give me a second. My browser reset, so I don't have all my tabs up like I used to.
If Thompson is worth 7.1 million, Matthews is worth 21 million. Thomas is worth
it's not
Thomas,
just that.
Thomas is worth 11 million. It's just, and he's so terrible. You know, people go on about Kyrou being bad defensively. He's got a positive plus minus.
Yeah.
Thompson's like a minus 35 or 45.
Minus 57.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy.
Okay. So hold on a second. So Robert Thomas went from 2.8 to 8.1. That's what he's going to be making, right? His future contract's got him. He went from 2.8. His cap hit, his AAV was 2.8, right? He's going to end up making. He's going to 8.1. So only $1 million more than Thompson, right? Last year, in the last 2 years, from 2021, 21-22, he played 105 games. 105 games. Okay? In those 105 games, he has 23 goals, and 66 points or 66 assists for 89 points. That's almost what Thompson has in his career. And not only that, Thomas came into the league a year after Thompson, right? For his career, Thomas has 241 games to Thompson's 223. Now remember, Thompson has a year more of service, right? Thomas has 42 goals to Thompson's 56. Okay? Thomas has 122 assists to Thompson's 47. 164 points to Thompson's 103. I'm sorry. You know, I just, and not only that, the eye test for me just tells me that Thomas is miles better than Thompson. I mean, I don't get it. And we've got a topic to talk about. John Hefner brought this up to me last week, and I haven't brought it up about activity. Because when we were talking about, Wendy, you brought it up about the All-Star game, having it moving it to the, doing something else with it, right?
Canceling it and making it just the
World Cup or something like that,
World
right?
Cup of hockey over the summer.
Yeah, well, John brought up, what are some activities, non-activities that they have in the in the league, right? Like I know that guys can't ride a motorcycle in the league, that they cannot ride a motorcycle. That is in their contracts. right?
Mhm.
There are activities that they're not allowed to do that are written in their contracts. Anyone wanted us to talk about that. We can talk about that later. Jason Nichols is saying hi. Tommy Embrick is saying hi. Robert Morton is talking about saying hi. And T-Lo, our favorite T-Lo, she's saying hi. We're thinking of you, T-Lo. Let me know. I'll let you know that. I don't understand what Buffalo's doing. This makes no sense to me. Them signing Thompson now to that contract. I don't think he's earned it.
What?
Wendy?
Sorry, my mic just fell. What was that question?
Tage Thompson. You know about Thompson, right?
Yeah, I heard that he was signing a new contract.
$7.1 million starting next year.
For Thompson, honestly,
Yeah!
that's not a bad contract. He's young and contracts are just going up. I think it's a smart deal with Buffalo, especially with what is all going on. They have the cap space, they've had the cap space, and now
Okay.
they're getting these young players who are starting to prove that they are worth the money.
Hey, Guy,
You're
his contract, his new one doesn't kick in till till the following year.
Yeah.
Following year, yeah. It's not kicking in this year. It's next year. But here's the thing. Remember when Thomas signed his contract, that 8.1 extension before the free agent period, right?
Yeah.
And how Blues fans were all upset about that. Don't sign that. Sign Perron. He ain't earned it. Da 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 da. This is the numbers between Thomas and Thompson. And you tell me.
I'm just saying this. The thing is, Buffalo's in a whole different situation than St. Louis is. Buffalo's finally getting to that point where their rebuild is over. They have young players who are ready to make the step forward. Tage Thompson last year proved himself that he's a hell of a player.
1 year, my friend, does not make a 7-year contract.
But he was showing development in the past seasons, and last year his development proved to be a great young player in the NHL.
So here we go. In 2021, Thompson played in 38 games of the 56. I think he was injured a little bit. He had 8 goals, 6 assists for 14 points. It was -6 with 17 penalty minutes.
You're also talking about one of the worst hockey teams ever put out on ice.
Last season, he played in 78 games, had 38 goals, 30 assists for 68 points, and a -17. Now think about this. This was his numbers last year. 78 games, 38 goals, 30 assists, 68 points. Okay, this is his career totals now. Remember his last year totals. This is his career totals. 223 games, 56 goals, 47 assists, 103 points. He got 60, almost 70%, 68% of his career totals in 1 year. I can't see signing that contract.
I think it's a smart contract. The reason why, Thompson's just going to start getting better than what he was last year. Last year was his prove me year.
I think last year was an anomaly for a bunch of guys.
I don't think so. Buffalo is starting to prove the young players are ready to play. Getting rid of Jack Eichel was a main thing. Once they got rid of the cancer of the locker room and Jack Eichel, you could tell a weight has been lifted throughout that entire locker room because every player started to play much better than they were when Jack Eichel was in the building. When you have a player that
Jack Eichel didn't play last year. He was still injured. He didn't suit up. He did not suit up for 1 game for Buffalo last season. He had no effect on Buffalo last season at all.
I'm just saying this. He was in the building, and they were at that point where, okay, This guy was our captain, and we're supposed to look up to a guy like this. He was the cancer to that locker room. You could tell the day they traded him, and when Buffalo started to play much better, they were without Jack Eichel in the organization and in their locker room. I think what happened was the Sabres are now starting to show themselves as a young, upcoming team who's willing to put everything out on ice. When Jack Eichel was with the organization, the team was deflated.
Okay, so I wanna read this list left to you, right? This is the guys, the top 50 in points last year.
Mm-hmm.
Top 50. Okay.
You're seriously going to read off all 50 players?
Okay.
That's a little excessive.
Well, let me tell you who's not on that list of top 50 guys.
I get it. Thompson's not on it, but he still was in a position where this player is developing and starting to show himself as a good, young, up-and-coming player. In my opinion, this contract's going to be a bargain deal in the next 3 seasons.
We had last season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys had 100 points or more, right? Yeah. And in goals, we had 4 guys have 50 or more.
Mm-hmm.
How many do you think we're going to have this year? Do you think we're going to have more than that number or less than that number?
I think we're going to have more.
I think we're going to have less. I think last year was an anomaly.
I don't think so.
Right?
If you've looked at the numbers in the past 3 years, goal scoring has been going up each and every year. That's why I think we'll see more 50 and 40 goal scorers in the NHL more often than not.
Are you sure about that? I swore I looked at something and saw goal scoring going down.
No, it's been going up.
I could be wrong. Rob Morton says that's why Buffalo's Buffalo. Bob says, I was a stud when I tricked my wife to marry me. Now I'm old, fat, and a slob, an example of Tage Thompson's contract. Bob, as much as I love you, I don't think, I think you were probably the same now as you were when you married your wife. I can't see you being a stud, my friend. Can't see it at all. I see what you're saying, Wendy. I just can't get behind it. I just can't get behind it. I'm not there. I just think it's a smart deal because the return on investment in the next 2-3 years is going to be a bargain deal in the NHL. And you believe it or not, it's almost all contract. He only got a $2 million signing bonus. That's it. The rest of it's contract. It's not like he got half of it as a signing bonus and then contract. No, it's all contract.
Yeah, because the first year of the contract, he's getting 5.8 and a $2 million bonus.
No, he's getting 5.1 and a $2 million signing bonus.
Yeah. So the way this contract's structured, I get it. It's all each year he's getting the same amount of money for the contract. The way the Sabres structured it is interesting because it's not all bonus money, which you see a lot more teams going towards. But the thing with Buffalo being the way they are, not being like one of the top market teams doing bonus every year on one player, makes a little bit more sense.
Does Money Puck is the one that shows breaks down players' lines, right?
I don't think so.
I thought it did. See if I can do a search here. I want to look at Thompson's a center too, right?
And winger. Dual positioned.
Go to Buffalo. Okay.
His primary.
Because somebody asked who his line mates were, and I don't know. So
last year it was Tuck and Skinner.
Yeah.
And that's who it was last year.
I don't think Skinner will be on that top line now with Tuck and Thompson, but I could be wrong.
I'm gonna pull it because I think that they do something here by lines. Maybe not. I've seen something where they have lines before. I know I've seen it. I just don't know where I would find it.
I got it.
Oh, lines. They got a thing with lines right here.
For the Sabres, Jeff Skinner, Tage Thompson, and Victor Olofsson with a mix of Alex Tuck on the first line.
Okay. Is that what it projected for this season or?
No, that was last season.
Last season? Okay. Right.
So Tuck and Skinner was pretty much flipping each and every night.
Did you do that on
daily face-off?
Okay.
But they still show like Skinner, Thompson, and Olofsson on that first line, but Tuck did move in quite a bit with Thompson and Olofsson.
Okay, yeah, I got Krebs, Thompson, and Tuck for. I guess they got some time in there.
Yeah, I will tell you that when Thompson with Tuck and Skinner, that line was much better than if they had put Olofsson in. Olofsson's a decent player, but he definitely looked better with Tuck in the lineup.
Yeah.
Okay, so Skinner, Thompson, and Tuck had played 381 minutes together. Skinner, Thompson, and Olofsson played 237 minutes together. Let's see, Skinner, Thompson, and Olofsson.
Olofsson.
Oh, wow. How do you get Olofsson out of that? Wow.
That's how it's pronounced.
ASPLUND. Wow. I need to get on my NHL in my media and listen to that one. Olofsson, 99 minutes. No. What did you say it was again?
Wait, who are you saying?
No, it's not Olofsson. It's Skinner, Thompson, and ASP Opslin. Yeah. Opslin. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Opslin had 99 minutes together. Olofsson, Thompson, and Opslin had 94 minutes together. I'm sure he had time with some other guys in there, but those are the major ones. So, those were the major ones. You know, I hope he does. I hope he does well. I just think that contract, especially towards the back end, could really bite him.
Oh, I don't think so because he's still young enough to not be. I don't think he's going to even be in his 30s when the contract expires.
He's 24 now, so yeah, he'll be 31.
If I was Buffalo,
he'll be 32 actually.
If I was Buffalo and you wanted to reward the guy, add on 2 more years at $5 million. It's a lot more than he's making now. And then after this year, you readjust it and say, hey, we want to make another adjustment. And this is what we're willing to do for you. We want to get this taken care of. But I'm a little bit with Guy. I don't think he's going to be quite as good this year. I always thought he'd be a 20-goal guy, maybe 25 goals on a good year. I don't know. You know, there may not have been more guys, you know, necessarily with 90 points or more, but I will tell you this, there's a lot more guys in the 60-point range than I remember seeing in a long time. There's a lot of guys out there with 60 points.
Well, the top
And-
50 all had 70 or more.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't even get in the top 50. He only had 68 points.
Yeah.
And right now, looking at Buffalo, is Buffalo a playoff team? Are they going to make the top 4 in their division? And I don't think so.
I think so. I don't think they make the playoffs, but I think they're going to have a 97-point season.
Wow.
I don't think they'll be that good.
Okay. So hold on a sec. No. I mean, because I need to.
You have the Boston Bruins, who are done in that division.
I'm gonna tell you what's gonna make or break Buffalo. Won't be the forwards, won't be the defense, won't be their penalty kill, won't be the power play. It's the goaltending. Right now, their 4 goaltenders are Subban, Craig Anderson, Luukkonen, and Comrie, I guess is how you pronounce it. And none of those guys, in my mind, are good enough to make your team that good. Especially, I don't know. I could see them as an 88, 85 point team. I just don't see them as a team that's going to get close to 100 points. I mean,
okay, so I got to bring this up. Wendy, you think that they're going to have 97 and be 4th in their division, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I gotta let's look at this division. There's only one team in this division that I think did not improve this year. You have Florida, Toronto, Tampa Bay, Boston, Detroit, and Ottawa, and I think every one of those teams is better than Buffalo.
I honestly would take the goaltending from Buffalo over the goaltending in Toronto. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, okay. Well, I can see that, but Toronto has the goal scorers. Toronto has the guy.
They do.
Toronto can win. Toronto can win a 6-5 game.
They're going to probably be 3rd place in that division. Tampa and Florida likely 1st. The thing is, I think 5 teams from the Atlantic make that Stanley Cup playoffs next year, realistically.
Okay.
Because the Metro is falling apart, and there likely to be 5 teams in the playoffs from the Atlantic, it's going to be teams like Tampa, like Florida, like Toronto, and then you're going to have 2 wild card teams coming out of it. I don't think Boston, because they're old, they're injured, and frankly, I don't think they have the right coaching staff for that team.
And their goaltending sucks.
I was going to say that's the one thing. I think that they've got decent goaltending.
Yeah, I have no faith in him. I just don't.
I think goaltending is like the one question mark that I don't have about Boston.
Oh, I've got
Boston. Their questions are their centers and their wingers. Their entire forward lines are a big question mark.
Their bottom 6 is very, very questionable, and I'm being really nice. I'm being nice about it, saying it's questionable.
No, and that's a fair point. That's a very, very fair point. But when I look at the Atlantic Division, and I look at it, the only team in the Atlantic Division that I think is not a playoff-worthy team is Montreal.
Yeah, Montreal's not going to make the playoffs. They're going to be battling for Bedard.
Okay, well, so you got 7 teams right there.
In my opinion, the Atlantic Division's the best division in hockey. That's what I'm saying. The Atlantic Division is the best division in the NHL.
I can see that this season. I wouldn't have said it last season. I think the Central was the best division.
I wouldn't have said it last season. I wouldn't have said it in past seasons. But this season, that Atlantic Division is very dangerous, and you're seeing teams on a rise like Buffalo and Detroit, and then you have a team who's clearly done with their rebuild in Ottawa. 2 teams like Detroit and Buffalo whose rebuilds are close to end, but might need a few more tweaks to their roster to end that rebuild. Usually you see one of those type of teams make the playoffs.
Detroit needs goaltending. Detroit Detroit's biggest question mark is goaltending.
I
And
think they
Husso
have
to
a
me,
good tandem.
Husso to me is still a huge question mark.
He's not. Here's the thing with Detroit. They have a good tandem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, they got a good 1A, 1B tandem together.
Who's their B?
Nedeljkovic
Who's
and-
their B?
Nedeljkovic and Husso.
Okay.
Nedeljkovic 2 years ago was viewed as a Calder finalist.
Okay.
when he
Fair
was
enough.
In
Fair
Carolina.
enough. But Husso to me is still a question mark, right? Because he reverted back to his old way of giving up early goals, giving up goals on the first couple of shots he sees, right? And you can't put your team, especially Detroit, you can't put a team like Detroit in the hole 4 minutes into the game.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this much: Blues fans love to complain about our so-called terrible defense, which was 10th in the league in goals allowed.
Yeah.
If you guys think our defense is bad, try Detroit's. I mean, it's not terrible. Don't get me wrong.
It's better, but it's still
better
not,
than it used to be.
They're not going to go from. I think they were down around the late 20s.
Yeah, they were in the mid to late 20s.
to 10th. They're not going to jump that high up.
So Husso's going to have to put a lot more on his shoulders than he did in St. Louis.
I absolutely agree with that. I really do.
But I'm also with Nick. As a 1A and 1B, they're pretty good. You know,
That's
combined.
a pretty good tandem.
Yeah, combined. Yeah.
In my opinion, the worst tandem in that division is Toronto's.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Matt Murray and
Montreal doesn't even know who they have. They have Jake Allen and somebody else, and that's just flipping a coin.
Montreal right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We all know Montreal's terrible. Hell, I could say this with my freaking team. We have the worst tandem in the NHL.
You don't even have a goaltender. You're going to pull the goaltender's not even going to be in the net for the first 5 minutes of the game.
You're
going to go 6-on-5 until the score's 3-0, and then you're going to put the goalie in.
I would say it. The Hawks have the worst tandem. Montreal will probably have the third worst tandem.
What would the league do if a team did that? If a team did that, started the game 6-on-5 until they were down 3-0, and then put the goalie in.
I think the coach will get fired immediately, and that won't ever happen.
I mean, that could be orders from ownership.
But Montreal, the worst tandems is Chicago, Montreal, and Arizona. I could say that. But throw Montreal aside, we know they're the worst team in that division.
Okay.
But they have a lot of young players on that roster that's going to be fun to watch them. But with worst tandem out of the top 7 in that division, it's Toronto without any question.
Yeah, and Toronto, you know, all the fans left like you guys did talk about their scoring. They're going to as long as they keep those 4. I put an email out there or a text out the other day of their top 5 guys, and they're making $48 million. That's 61% of their salary cap.
Yeah.
That kills their defense. And I said it last year.
You're not on board with Matt Murray and Samsonov.
No. No.
I like Samsonov.
Yeah.
But Matt Murray has not been Matt Murray since he
long
left
time.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, long time.
I think Matt Murray's washed up, and at this point, he's just going to be one of those type of journeyman goaltenders. He's not good. In my opinion, he's never been good as an NHL goalie, as a starter. Backup, he's been all right. But as a starter, I never have saw him as a top-notch goaltender in the NHL.
I mean, I see what you're saying, but I'm kind of not completely on board with that. What was that number you said again? They've got $32 million in their top 3 guys. Matthews, Tavares, and Marner.
I just did an email the other day and figured it out. It's 11.9, 11 million, 9 point something, 7 point something, and 6 point something, and it comes out to $48 million for their top guys.
Okay, so Matthews is 11.6. I'm looking at AAV now, okay? Tavares is 11. Marner is 10.9, and then you go to Morgan Riley at 7.5.
And you got to put in Nylander in there at 6.9.
Nylander's at 6.9.
Yeah, and that makes $48 million basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
How the
I tell these fans, I don't know, Nick, I tell these fans all the time, you got to have a more balanced team. The Blues won it as a balanced team. When Chicago won it, they had good defense. Look at the defensemen they had. And they had good forwards and they had good goaltending. You've got to have a combination of that. You can't have one side that's really great and another side, like their defense, their first pairing's decent. Is pretty good, with Morgan Riley, but their second pairing's okay. And past that, they don't have nothing. So this team's going to score a lot of goals, but I think they're going to be even worse in goaltending than they were last year.
And apparently Toronto wants to go after Patrick Kane.
Hey, Nick,
I keep saying that.
Have you not learned every time there's a free agent or somebody says that?
I know.
Oh, Patrick Kane fits in perfect. It's just like everybody's been telling me he's going to Edmonton, and I'm like, he doesn't want to. Number one, they're not shopping him. They're taking calls, but they're not shopping him. Number two, they're not having talks with Edmonton directly in getting to that point yet because they're not going to trade him yet.
If Kane wants to be traded, he's going to go to the Hawks and say, hey, I know this is what this team's going in a direction with, but let's see where things go out, which he basically said to the media saying, I'm waiting until the season goes on what happened.
Yep.
He could remain a Chicago Blackhawk the entire season. And will I be happy? Hell yes. Because I think the legacy of Patrick Kane that he has going for himself, I think he sees that because he's second in Chicago Blackhawks all-time points. Second, he might not be, he's not second in games played yet because that still belongs to Duncan Keith. But he has so many things going for himself where he could pass Stan Mikita in the next 4 years in points all time for the Chicago Blackhawks.
Do you think he plays 4 more years with them?
If he wants to remain with the team, why I'm saying. That's why I'm saying. He even, I'm willing to bet, he even looks at this legacy he can fulfill. I think that's another thing why he hasn't decided he wants to be moved.
I could see that.
Some players see what they can do for a franchise history because Kane, you could view Kane as argued as the best player in Blackhawks history with Stan Mikita. Those two you could view as either one or two, flip-flop either way.
Okay, fair
right
enough.
Now, a lot of people view Kane as it already just because the 3 cups, the MVP, the Calder, the scoring title, and Conn Smythe Trophy. Mikita, 2 MVPs, a Stanley Cup, and 2 Lady Binks. Kane is viewed right now, even through the media, as the best Blackhawk all time, but fans who realize Mikita is still up there, it usually flip-flops.
And that's fair enough. And when you talk about legacy, that's why I think Tarasenko stays in St. Louis. Because I think he's a legacy-type player. I think he's one of those guys that his legacy is more important to him than anything else, and I still think he can play.
Mm-hmm.
I still think he can play. Now, is he going to get, Brett Hull or Bernie Federko level goals? Probably not. But what he's meant to the team, he's in that rare air.
Yeah.
Right? Even if Tarasenko leaves next year, I still see Tarasenko's banner being in the rafters.
Yeah, Tarasenko will probably have his number retired.
Right?
Just like in Chicago, you're going to have Kane, you're going to have Taze's numbers getting retired. Duncan Keith is right down the line. I think Keith probably in the next year or two, they will retire his numbers since he just retired from the NHL.
Yeah. No, and I see that. I just, I know Lance doesn't agree with me on the Tarasenko thing, but I still feel now that rolls me into to another topic, and this was brought up today by, I think it was the hockey writers, and they were talking about a player on the hot seat for every team. And the player that they have on the hot seat for the Blues, I don't agree with. And I don't agree with either player that they mentioned, because that's not the player that's on the hot seat to me. But they have Ryan O'Reilly on the hot seat.
Isn't he a free agent after this year?
Yes, he's a free agent after this year. And yes, he does not have a no trade clause. So the Blues can trade him anytime they want.
They're probably viewing the way his contract's structured and the fact he's on a final year of a contract.
Yeah.
Hell, if St. Louis does flame out at one point in the season and they're starting to be in a position where they're going to miss the playoffs, I could see O'Reilly getting moved.
I could, because he's a guy you could get 4 players for.
I don't think 4 players, especially at a trade deadline.
We gave up 5 to get him. We gave up 5 to get him. We got to get 4 back. I'm sorry. We gave up 5 to get him.
You gave up a lot to get him, but that was also from a GM in Buffalo who had no freaking clue what the hell he was doing.
No, I think that GM did well. Other than, first of all, the fact that he got 5 pieces for 1 was great.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that in that aspect of the O'Reilly trade, we lost that part of it. Okay, I know where you're going, Lance. I don't think O'Reilly was worth 5 pieces. In my eyes, he wasn't. There should have been another piece coming back with Buffalo for 5 pieces. There should have been. Thompson was the centerpiece of that, and I get it. I really do. And for me, I'm happy for Thompson in Buffalo, and I've said this numerous times, and I saw somebody's comment earlier, he would have never flourished in St. Louis. He was not going to get top line minutes. He was never going to be that guy. He was never going to get there. So Buffalo was a good spot for him. But 5 pieces didn't work for me. Now, luckily, the only piece that's still in the league, or actually in the league, is Thompson.
Here's the thing. I don't care if you give away 6 players, 3 players, 10 players. It's quality over quantity. And for what the Blues gave up and what they got in O'Reilly, because I'm going to tell you right now, and people can argue with me, and I know, Guy, you won't. If O'Reilly doesn't come to the Blues that year and be the only player in the first half of that season to play great and really push this team, the Blues don't win that cup, regardless of what Bennington does or doesn't do. The Blues do not win that cup without Ryan O'Reilly.
I agree with that.
Now, the only player you can say, I think even if Berglund and Sobotka was in the league, the only player you could say is if you say something like the Sabres wouldn't have been as good as they were last year without Tage Thompson. That's the only player you can say. Even if Berglund and Sobotka were still in the league and playing for Buffalo, you couldn't say that. So when I look at a trade, I never look at quantity. It's quality. Because if I get 3 quality pieces as opposed to 1 good piece and 4 crappy pieces, I want the 3 quality pieces.
Yeah, but I look at that and I go, O'Reilly for Thompson, Berglund, and Sobotka should have been enough. The first round pick and the second round pick, it was too much. There was too much to me. Right? I think we overpaid for him. Now, he has done outstanding with the Blues. I admit that. The return there was huge, but it was still a lot to give up. It was still a lot to give up. And the Blues are a team that is very good drafting in the late part of the draft. We've seen that. Thompson was a late draft pick. He was a 22nd or 23rd pick, right? Kyrou was a late draft pick. Neighbors, late draft pick. Bolduc, late draft pick. The Blues are a team that can... Costin, late draft pick. And if you want to know who I think's on the hot seat, that's it right there. Costin. Costin is on the hottest seat of any player on the Blues. Mark, and Mark Hudson, hey, Mark, how you doing? Welcome to the show. Said he'd assumed it would be Parayko or Bennington, and I don't think either one of them is on a hot seat. Parayko a little bit, but not Bennington. All right?
I've never understood this fan base and how they can turn on their own players so quickly, and then not take into an account the guy's been sick with COVID a couple times. Mm-hmm. He's been injured. I mean, I don't know what else you want the guy to do. When he's healthy, he's a top 10 goaltender. He really is. When he's not healthy, no, he's not a top 10 goaltender.
I haven't seen the NHL's list of top 10 or top 20 goaltenders. Have they put it out yet?
I haven't seen it yet. That normally comes out in September, I think.
No, well, they put the top 20 centers and the top 20 wingers out. And on the top 20 wingers, nobody from the Blues was on it. Mm-hmm. And I don't think anybody in the defense. Nobody from the Blues was on the defense. Right? Bennington had a good playoffs, but people are all over him. Well, see, Bennington had an amazing playoff, and Bennington had a pretty good end of the season. I think Bennington finally just got into his groove and went out there and played his style of hockey and stopped listening to everybody else telling him what to do, and he just played his own style. Jeff Horseman says 55 isn't worth the contract. I kind of see that, but I kind of don't. I think that I think we put too much into what guys get paid. I really do think that.
I also think we put too much into a guy's size. Well, Parayko's 6'6", he should be Chris Pronger. No, Colton Parayko has never been a Chris Pronger type. Chris Pronger, even in juniors, was a Chris Pronger type. So, guys, he's big. Don't expect him because he's big to be a physical defenseman. He's just not that way.
No, he's never been that way.
He'll never be that way because of his personality.
Yeah. No, and I don't have a huge issue with that. Hey, let me say a big thank you to Dale Clerk, Glenn Gray, Laura Brennan, Jason Nichols, Michael Bovet, and John Hefner for putting them thumbs up in the air on Facebook. I appreciate it so much. Thank you if you do that. And if you do it on YouTube, I can't see your names, but I appreciate it. Thank you for watching the show. I'm here with Lance Scott from The Drop and Nick from Windy City Hockey, talking hockey on a Tuesday evening in St. Louis and I guess early evening here in Hawaii. It's about 4:40 my time. Really, for me, let me ask you this: who? Wendy, I know you don't follow the Blues, but you're have enough of a hockey IQ. Mm-hmm. Who on the Blues do you think is in the hot seat this season?
Honestly,
Mark, I'm with you, by the way.
I could see Torrey Krug.
Oh, I see. That's not a bad choice. That's not a bad choice. Krug being injured in the back part of the playoffs hurt us. Mm-hmm. Right? That really hurt us. I don't think our defense is as bad as everybody thinks it is.
It's not.
Right? And I don't. And I look at, you look at this team and it was one of the first of all, offensively, they were a juggernaut. They scored more goals than anybody else in the Western Conference. They were fourth in the league, and they scored more goals than anybody else in the Western Conference. And they were 10th in goals per game, goals allowed. That's not a bad defense. Isn't 10th. A bad defense is 16th to 20th or worse. I don't take a team in the top 10 as having a bad defense. Do you?
I don't take a team in the top 20 because normally there's very few, like you could be number 13 or even number 11 and have 2.79 goals against, and the next team that you think is bad at 22 is 2.86. So, there's such a finite between who's bad and who's terrible. But I mean, a team that's number 10, you can't call them a bad defense. You really can't.
Well, how's this, right? Colorado was plus 78 goal differential. Mm-hmm. Minnesota was plus 57. The Blues were plus 69. Mm-hmm. You don't get to plus 69 with the bad defense. Nashville Nashville, who everyone thinks has a good defense, was only plus 14. Dallas was minus 8. Oh, I'm hitting the button. I didn't
I was gonna
realize
say I
it.
keep hearing crickets.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
my little cricket button. I have a button with crickets on it, and yeah, there you go. So sorry about that.
That's all right.
Yeah, but no, I mean, you look at this, that the teams, I'm sorry, a team that's plus 60, 68, I mean, they were like 5th in the league in that. Right? Let me do this real quick. Let me see where they were in the league. Differential.
I think herein lies the problem.
1, 2, 3.
If the
4.
Blues don't have a
They were
defense, if the Blues don't have a defense that beats everybody up from the start of the game to the end of the game, 70% of the fans are going to say we have a bad defense.
Well, fans want us to win. The majority of Blues fans, this is my issue with a lot of Blues fans. If we don't go 82-0 with a 0.00 goals against average, we had a shitty season. I mean, that's it. They expect the team to win every single game, right?
He had to do something.
Yeah.
He had to do something.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, no problem, Nicker. But for me, that stuff doesn't. I try and look, and this is where I think I'm so different. Look, I know there's podcast galore out there. I was talking to somebody about it today, and the question is, what makes you different? You know, and what makes me different is I think I look at the game from very, very differently from everybody else. Right? I talked about last season. I kept saying that the Spetsna line was going to work. God, this line needs to be together. This line needs to be together. And how many people said no, that won't work? How many experts, guys with hockey PhDs, told me that line wouldn't work? And it worked. Why? Because I saw something. That's what makes me different. I look at things that other people don't see. I look at this team and I say the defense itself wasn't bad. What led to those defensive lapses was shitty neutral zone play. That's where the problem is. You fix the neutral zone, and that's been a Berube issue for forever. You fix the neutral zone, you get better neutral zone play, a lot of those defensive lapses don't happen.
Yeah, the Blues, very few games last year where you could say that they stood up at the blue line against anybody. A lot of times they just let people skate right in and not challenge them. And, you know, you've got to have control. You got to make it difficult for teams to enter your zone. You've got
to. Right. You got to get sticks in the lane. I mean, you look at what the McKinnon, right? You look at that move McKinnon did. He walked past 4 Blues like they were standing still.
Yeah.
And then made Husso, who should have had that, who originally he took McKinnon to the side. He took away 90% of McKinnon's net, but didn't seal off the post. He seals off the post, that goal doesn't go in.
It also went top shelf on Husso. That's
but it's because Husso didn't seal off
the
post.
The way McKinnon even shot it, it was on a bad angle.
Terrible.
That's a save. That is a hard shot to make.
Yes.
In a hard way to save a puck.
Yeah, because it's that kind of a backhand as a goalie. The backhand for me was always harder to judge where it's going to go.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it always was with me.
But if a player's that far over on that side of the net, if a player's that far over, what's the goalie told to do all the time? Cover the post.
Yeah, but Guy, I'm going to tell you, he shoots that puck 30 times and he makes 1 goal. Yeah. It's just one of those things. And the other 29 times, Husso makes that save. Because he doesn't. I mean, it's such a. between getting a goal and not getting a goal is so finite. I mean, in most instances, if you've got a good scoring chance, the difference between you getting that goal past the goaltender and him coming up with a save, it's like that much. And, you know, I put a little bit of that on Husso, and you are right. He should have covered a little bit more of that top part of his shoulder there and a little bit more closer to the net, because even with guys like McKinnon on bad shots, I saw Tarasenko do that one time to somebody.
Oh, yeah,
I don't care.
Tarasenko's found that little hole and put it in
Gretzky
there.
would do that. I mean, guys can put pucks in holes that big. They're that good. So it's tough to blame him totally, but I do understand what you're saying.
If he'd have been farther out and farther away and scored that goal, I wouldn't have put it on Husso. It's how close he was to the net that even me not being a goalie knows that a goalie is supposed to cover the post. He's got to hug that post. He's got to make sure, because he had no other shot. The only shot he had was really a pass back or go behind the net and reset up. He had no shot. Husso stayed down and left that area up there open, and it wasn't a little hole. It was a pretty big size hole. I mean, it was enough. There was enough there that McKinnon went for it. Right? And that's the issue for me, is it's how close he was. That the goalie has to cover that post. That's just how I feel. I could be wrong, but that's just how I feel. Bennington, you know what? Bennington, that goal that got scored from there, that was to me was just a really good shot, and it didn't matter. I think at the point that goal got scored, that game was done and it didn't matter. Right? That game, when they made it 4-0, and there was like 6 minutes left in the game, 7 minutes left in the game. If they give up the shutout, they give up the shutout. I remember talking about it. You know, I wouldn't mention it because I didn't want to, because it's something it's the only thing in the playoffs that the Blues have never done.
Mm-hmm.
They've never had a shutout in a Stanley Cup game, in a final. Right?
Yeah. And seriously, you know, hey, I'm sure Bennington didn't like the fact the goal went in, but you know what? At the end of the day, it was a win. You know, I mean, I wouldn't have liked it if they'd have come back 4-3 or something like that, but they won. You know, I mean, What's the big deal?
Yeah, no. So, you know, at that point, it was like, oh, he gave up the goal. We lost the shutout, but nothing else mattered. You know, that game turned on a mistake, turned on a defensive mistake by a forward. What, Wendy? I see that smirk on your face.
You said you guys don't have a shutout in a Stanley Cup final? How about a Stanley Cup final clinching shutout?
Well, that's what we could have had.
We
don't have that either.
The Hawks have it.
Oh, well, the Hawks can kiss my ass.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, Wendy, Nick, you know I say that lovingly, right?
I know, and I'm just kind of throwing it out there. We do have one. Corey Crawford, Game 6, 2015 Cup Final.
You're also a lot older of a team than
I
me.
mean, of course you're going to have one. You guys have been around since the Gettysburg Address, and Abraham Lincoln gave it. That's how long you guys have been around.
Yeah, you know. Yeah.
I knew something was up too, and I was waiting for him to say something. He got this big grin on his face.
I see that shit-eating grin on his face, and I'm like, what's going on? Right? No, I don't see the Blues defense being as bad as people think it is. Right? I look at it. They've got in their top 6, really their top 9 are some of the best players in, the 1, 2, and 3 are some of the top lines in the league. Right? I mean, I'll put their top 6 up against all but maybe 2 or 3 teams. Right? I think the only teams that I could put that I think that their top 6 might be better than ours. Kyle, that's not, it got, I don't want to say way better, but it got better. It did get better when he came, which surprised me because I was concerned about it, and I'll admit that, but it got better later because Letty picked up the system very, very quickly. much quicker than Falk did, much quicker than Krug did, and he seemed to just gel in the playoffs.
The thing
Right.
with Letty, his style of play is he chooses what he wants to do. Because when he was with the Hawks, he was terrible defensively. All he was good at pinching up in the offensive zone and
moving the
shooting
puck.
from the
Yep.
blue line.
Yep.
And causing a turnover that lost us Game 7 of the Western Conference Final. And then when he was with the Islanders, he still did that until Barry Trotz came in and his entire game changed.
Mm-hmm.
He was all defense because Trotz only plays defense. He doesn't care about anything else unless you're playing a structured, boring defense that works.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
Letty
the Blues
gelled
don't play
with
a
it.
structured, boring defense, though. They play a checking defense, but not that type of structured defense, I don't think.
The Islanders?
No, the Blues.
No, but the thing with Letty, he can adapt quickly because before Barry Trotz came to the Islanders, he was still doing the same stuff he was doing with the Hawks until Barry Trotz came in and forced his team to play a boring, structured defense that will be a hell of a way to play against. You were having a difficulty getting around that defense that Islanders had with Barry Trotz and when Nick Letty was still on the team. But Letty gets traded to Detroit. Detroit being one of the worst teams in hockey last year, they just went out, just played for fun and do whatever. So he kind of changed his structure to let's just have fun with it. And then he went to St. Louis, and his structure kind of adapted to how St. Louis moves the puck.
Yeah, because the Blue system is unlike Trotz's system. Trotz's system is very different than the Blues. Trotz doesn't require his defensemen a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times to really get involved in the play, in the rush. They do, but not all the time. The Blues, if you noticed, the Blues have a system to where the defensemen get involved in the offense very quickly. And the fact that, like Nick said, I think this is what he's trying to say, Letty's been in these different systems, so he's kind of a hybrid now to where he does both pretty good.
Yeah. And then with how he was with Chicago, when Coach Q coached the Hawks, what type of defense the Hawks had? High-string, puck-moving defense from the blue line, get it up to the offensive zone.
Quick transitions.
Were key contributors to the stretch pass. And now look at other teams. They use the stretch pass for advantage. The Hawks were one of the first teams who really take advantage of using that stretch pass under Coach Q, and Letty was part of it.
Well, Q came up with that stretch pass in St. Louis because that's where Hull got a lot of his goals.
But
the
2010s, you started to see the evolution of the stretch pass getting utilized more, and Coach Q was able to make it work out perfect when it was with the Hawks with Duncan Keith, Brent Seabrook, and Johnny O'Doyle.
Because guys were going north when the stretch pass came instead of like the Blues. Now they're standing still or going backwards. Or going east-west. When you get that stretch pass inside, it just opens so much up.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And that's the important thing. Now, I was talking about the Blues top six. So the Blues top six, the way I see it, is Shin, O'Reilly, Stod, Wishnevich, Thomas, Tarasenko. That's what I think their top six are. I can only think of maybe two teams that might have a better top six. And one of them I'm not sure about. Maybe three at the most. Right? I think Edmonton might have a little bit better top six. I think Colorado, when they had Kadri did, I'm not sure. I think I'd have to look at them a little more now, after they've had some changes at their lineup. They're a maybe, and I think Toronto might be a maybe. But can you come up with how many other teams do you think have a better top six than the Blues right now?
Well, I would put Tampa in the top.
I I think that,
I would say
Ottawa actually
I would-
has probably a
yeah.
really deep
Yeah.
top six. I really like that top six Ottawa created.
I think Florida's top six is pretty comparable.
well, the thing with Ottawa is until we see them play together, we don't know.
I know, but the thing is, only two of the players never played in that system, and usually a player like DeBrincat, he can adjust pretty quickly because he had Coach Q for his rookie season, and about 3 weeks of the 2019 and 2018-19 season, then they fired him for freaking Colleton, and he was able to work under Colleton's system, and then under Derek King, he worked out perfectly. DeBrincat's a one that can adjust pretty quick. Same with Claude Giroux. He's had tons of coaches with Philadelphia. He's one that does adjust pretty quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about Ottawa. I pick them to make the playoffs. Guy picks.
I really like Ottawa.
I do too. I just, that division's so tough. You know,
It
you don't
is.
know what's going to happen. Goaltending in that division is going to be key.
It is.
Oh,
That whole division is going to come down to which goaltender stands on his head the longest. That's where that division comes down to.
That Ottawa created. Even though I don't like Anton Forsberg, but the reason I don't like him was the fact he was terrible in Chicago.
No, but still,
I could say I do like
the at the bare minimum. They're what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 teams that have a better top 6 than they do.
Better or the same. Better or the same. Yeah, I would say.
The same.
Yeah, I would say. I don't think there's no more than 5, maybe 6. But yeah, you know,
Rangers.
Right?
Maybe.
Rangers are pretty good. Yeah.
I know. I think that the Blues overall better than the Rangers top 6. Right? I'm not saying that they're not good. I'm just saying at some point you got to look at what the Blues did last year. What?
That's why I said Rangers maybe.
Maybe. You got to look at the fact that the Blues top 6 is the same top 6 they had last year. Yeah. There's no new pieces in that top 6. Right? Edmonton, I think their top 6 pretty much stayed the same.
Yeah.
Right? But you look at everybody else and their top 6 adjusted. So really you don't know. But when you look at teams that were that top 6 stayed the same, you know, I got to hand it. I think the Blues are going to be it, man. Okay, Lance, thanks for joining us. We're not going to stay too much longer. Me and Wendy will probably just bullshit a little bit more, and then we'll disappear. I'm not getting a lot of comments from guys, but someday we're going to get these guys to just nail us with comments. I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
All right, you guys have a good night.
You too, man. You too. But just for me, Wendy, I just think that overall, when you get down to it, the Blues are not. They're a contending team. You cannot look at the Blues and not say that they're not a contending team. Oh, damn it, John, we forgot to talk about your question. Well, Wendy will know this. John was, and I meant with Lance, and I'm sorry, John. We just got in on something else. See, that's what happens when you don't talk. I forget about you. You got to keep reminding me. He wanted us to talk about, activities that players can't do by their contract. Right?
Okay.
Like I know of 3 things for sure that are in their contract that they cannot do. Right?
Okay.
They cannot ride a motorcycle.
Yeah.
They cannot play a contact type sport, including basketball, unless it's a team activity.
Yeah.
Right? And they can't skydive.
Yeah, I can understand all 3 of them.
Do you know of any other activities that players are prohibited from doing in their contracts?
I don't know any exactly. The thing with it is some players get different add-ons to those type of contracts like, I know in other sports, some players get told they can't do some pretty stupid average things that anyone else can think of. I don't exactly know all the stipulations that they put into some contracts, but I know the top 3 are what you were saying there.
You know, I need to reach out to one of my agent friends and see if I could get them to kind of give me some of the things that would be in a contract that a player can't do.
Yeah.
Right. See, now there's something that I found out that surprised the living crap out of me.
What?
Kessel plays in poker tournaments.
He does?
Yeah. Right.
Is that part of his contract? He can't do it in Vegas?
No. I don't know, but I thought that I know during the season, players cannot gamble. And I thought players were prohibited from gambling, period, while they had contracts.
I mean,
prohibited. That's what I was trying to come up with.
You get the gambling between the players on the plane going from. They do their poker tournaments on the plane going.
Yeah, no, this was a picture of him at the World Series of Poker, sitting at a table playing poker.
I did not know that. They probably are able to do it on off season or something like that.
The thing with that, John, is most of the contracts, especially the bigger, they're insured, right?
Yeah.
So if a player got hurt in the Olympics, basically nothing happens to the contract.
They will be placed on LTIR.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that's the main reason why the NHL hates sending the players to the Olympics if an injury occurred. One of the most famous ones was Dominic Hasek in 2006 with Czech Republic. He got injured, and the Senators were without the best goalie in the NHL and Hasek, but they made it to the Cup final. But if they had Hasek, they probably won the Cup that year.
So, for me, I don't mind. I like the players going to the Olympics, but what I'd like to see it do, really, and when you look at it, so basketball in and of itself is a winter sport.
Yeah.
It's not a summer sport. Okay? It is a winter sport. However, when is Olympic basketball played?
The Summer Games.
The Summer Games.
And I've
so
said
why
this
couldn't
before.
ice hockey? Why couldn't ice hockey be played in the Summer Games?
They can easily do it.
Exactly. I think ice hockey should.
I know where you were going with this because I've said this in the past before, that the Olympics should consider if they want NHL players to go to the Olympics, do it in the summer. The players
absolutely.
The NHL won't care as much because they aren't paying the players in the summer. They frankly aren't.
And it doesn't affect the season.
It doesn't, unless one player gets a massive injury. That's the only thing that would affect any teams.
Well, that's going to happen no matter what. But as far as taking a 2-week break or having guys go over there that you would rather have on your team, that doesn't happen. Actually, Shockey, gambling is gambling, the tournament or not. It's still here's the thing. I've just seen two things. Well, I haven't seen it yet, but I can't wait. But there is a series on Netflix called Untold. Have you seen it at all, Wendy?
I've seen a couple episodes.
Have you seen the one that came out 2 weeks ago? There's 3 of them out now.
Are you talking about the former NFL player one?
No. Well, yeah. The girlfriend that didn't exist. Manti Te'o.
Yeah. Manti Te'o. I know.
Being in Hawaii, that was a huge, huge story.
Yeah.
Okay. So that story for me was personal. Right? I have actually met Rosiah.
Okay.
I've met him/her. I've met her. Okay.
Okay.
I've seen her around town. She when she's here, she's either here or she's over in Samoa, but when she's here, I've ran into her. Right? Okay. I know the areas that she goes to, and it just happens to be not that I go to those areas normally. She just happens to be in some of those same areas. Right?
Okay.
Oh, John, happy birthday. Well, see, I forgot it was your birthday. You should have told me. Right? Since the show's wrapping up, I guess we got to say happy birthday to John. And he will be upset with me if I don't sing happy birthday. So let me do this real quick. And a 1, and a 2, and a 1, 2, 3, 4. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear John Hefner. Happy birthday to you. Actually, Shockey, that's not a true statement because some tournaments have rebuys. And the reason that players are not allowed to gamble is so they do not get in debt to where they could be forced to throw games. That is the reason that is there, right? The Girlfriend That Doesn't Exist was really good. The one that they just released, I didn't watch the and one because it's just
Did you
basketball
not watch
doesn't.
the one about the Danbury Trashers?
Yeah, the shoes or whatever,
No. The Danbury Trasher one.
Which one's that one?
That came out last year.
Oh,
It's a hockey team. It's
yeah.
called the Danbury Trashers. It's
Yeah.
about this hockey team, and it's basically was owned by a mafia mod boss.
Oh, okay, yeah, I think I heard about that. I didn't see it.
It's basically the Sopranos owning a hockey team. I recommend
Oh my God.
watching it.
Yeah, no, but they just released the one on Tim Donaghy,
Mm-hmm.
right? That was the NBA ref that was throwing games.
Yeah.
That would bet on games and then make calls that would be favorable to his bets.
Yeah.
Right. That was huge. So that's the surprise with me because I thought, because I know when I was in Vegas, when the Blues were there, everybody was watching the table to see if what players would go there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I actually saw, and I didn't realize at the time, I saw Colton Parayko walk past me while I was in Vegas.
Okay.
He was incognito, right? Hat pulled down, so I don't know where he was heading, but he didn't want people to know it was him, but I kind of knew. So I let him be.
Yeah.
Right. I wasn't doing this stuff then. Now I wouldn't. But oh man, what a great show. Winnie, thanks for showing up, man. God, you make the shows great, bud. I just got to say thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I can't wait for the season. I'm very hopeful. Next show will be Thursday. I think we'll have a Thursday show. I'm going to take some time tomorrow. Got to take care of some stuff, but keep my head going. And right now with the off season, there's no news. I think 2 days a week is fine. Tuesdays and Thursdays, maybe a Friday if something's going on, but for the most part, we'll do that. So, hey guys, thanks so much for watching. I'm Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, for Lance and Scott from The Drop, who was with us earlier, and Nick from Windy City Hockey saying, aloha, mahalo. And we'll see you all on the next BlueNote Fan Report. Aloha.
Hawaii Blues fan, we're bleeding blue with you. Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues!